Oh, praise, blessed be the internet outrage machine. As the video game news the past few days has been kind of slow, thankfully, we've had an absolute heap of hilarious memes around Endgame, the new Sonic movie, YouTubers freaking out, and all sorts of other hilarious things for us to share and point and laugh at. Now, the latest outrage is Thor in Endgame being fat shamed. That's right. I bet you didn't know that Thor was fat shamed in the movie. Now, if you haven't seen Endgame, this isn't really a spoiler, so I wouldn't worry about it. Essentially, Thor is deeply depressed, just like all of the Avengers are after losing to Thanos at the end of Infinity War. Thor takes it particularly hard, knowing that, as famously said by Thanos, had he have aimed for the head, he would have prevented it all. He chose not to, or just missed, or whatever the case may be, and the snap happened, erasing half of the living things in the universe, or at least on the planet Earth. I can't remember exactly which one it was. But nonetheless, Twitter is, of course, outraged from everything. Every major movie has to make a huge political statement. It has to have the appropriate amounts of representation. It has to say the right things. It has to do the right things. It has to change people's minds. It has to do so much more than simply entertain. And people are mad. Yes, that's right. They're mad that Thor fat jokes are problematic. Some of the tweets will start mild, and we'll get into, of course, the full Polygon meltdown of it. Social media was on fire over the weekend. Avengers is full of obesity-shaming jokes with Thor in a fat suit. Articles online that call this out are too scared to say it without putting it below a big spoiler line. This is stupid. People don't want to support fat shaming, should be warned. Another critic said, if you haven't seen Endgame and you have issues with body image, please be aware that there is a fatphobic joke front and center in the movie. Now, obviously, many of us could stand to lose a few pounds. And also, what happened to representation matters? I thought, having Thor be a little plush, a little chonk, would be funny. Now, I thought it was very funny. My wife was disappointed that Thor didn't magically appear back with his six-pack, but she has also been subjected to nonstop me running around the house and rubbing my belly and saying, "Oh, what's it like to be married to a man with the body of a god?" And it's fun. It's good-natured. Look, let me tell you something about being fat. Fat people already know. We know we're fat. We know we could lose weight. And most of us aren't offended by that fact. If you're offended by it, well, hit the gym. I'm sorry if you have a glandular problem, but most of us who are overweight know exactly why. We eat too much, we exercise too little. This whole, I'm going to be offended on behalf of 1% of fat people who have some rare medical or some legitimate, metabolism problem. Look, fine, okay? But most fat people, most overweight people know exactly why they are and know exactly how to fix it and choose not to. So dealing with it with humor is the best way to do it. Do you think I get upset when somebody calls me fat on the internet? No. I get more upset when people say things about me that are untrue, right? Look, I can look down and know I got a nice front porch brewing there. I'm just waiting in for that dad. The dad bod is coming around, and I'm hoping my wife will embrace it soon. But that won't stop the internet from being offended on everyone else's behalf. This is probably the piece that takes the cake. So I want to start with The Guardian. Avengers Endgame was brilliant, but fat shaming broke my heart. By the way, I thought Avengers Endgame was only above average, and I know a lot of you might be, that might be a hotter take than Thor fat shaming, but, I thought about doing a movie review. Every time I say I should do a movie review, everyone on Twitter says I should do it. But then I know if I do it, no one will watch it. And I don't know. It's not really what my channel's about. And, the movies are in the eye of the beholder. And I've always said, I use this example over and over again. I like Paul Blart Mall Cop, okay? So what am I going to tell you about not liking or liking about a movie franchise or a movie in general? But, of course, using a fat person as a punchline is cheap and lazy. So why was everyone in the cinema laughing except me? Well, maybe because you're an uptight butthole. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know why you wouldn't think it was funny. It was freaking hilarious. And they weren't just laughing at a random fat person, by the way. It wasn't like the Avengers saw a fat person on the street and was like, hey, check out that chunk, or they saw some like woman on the beach and like, there she blows, my girl. No, they were giving Thor the business because he is the picture of health and he showed up looking like the dude, okay? At 30 years of age, I should really be used to seeing how fat bodies are depicted in the media. I should be used to seeing fat bodies being used as easy go for depicting sad, angry characters. I should be used to the introduction of a fat body to provide comedic relief. But here I am the morning after seeing Avengers Endgame, and I'm still shocked, angry, and hurt. I'm an avid Marvel nerd. And there it is. As you know, if you're a longtime viewer of this channel, you know if it's in the first paragraph or the second paragraph, when somebody proclaims they are a fan of something, we know they are not really a fan of that thing, because real fans don't start out their articles or start out their sentences saying, now I've been a fan of this random thing for a long time, but now read my article about how I'm outraged about something that real fans don't care about. Signed, moron. When we see Thor at the beginning of the film, he's a svelte Asgardian god, self outside the body, but clearly battling some pretty heavy stuff on the inside. This is a man who has been to war. He's struggling with the terms of loss of his brother to comprehend, with the inability to defeat Thanos. My issues lies with not with Thor's alcohol consumption or his turning to food for comfort. Both are common coping mechanisms. My issues lie with his physical appearance. I thought we were finally past the days of the fat suit. I had hoped that we were past this point in history. We were allowed to poke fun at fat people, but I was wrong, because we are in the Avengers Endgame. Thor is 30 kilograms heavier, and it seems as though everyone in the audience is laughing except for me. What do you mean past the point of making jokes? Look, everything's on the table. You can make jokes about everything and anything you want, okay? And the second somebody says, well, but this is off limits, people will criticize me, for example, for self-censoring my words when I'm reading articles and stuff like that. It's not necessarily because I would censor myself outside of the YouTube sphere. It's because I'm worried about the reach of the video. It isn't even about the monetization. It's just that over the years, I've noticed a trend when a video gets that little yellow mark, then all of a sudden it stops getting suggested to people. And I want my videos to be viewed by as many people as possible when I can control it. Sometimes topics are just too spicy. But of course, I wouldn't be upset if he had put weight on as a result of his trauma and was taken more seriously. Fluctuations in weight are normal, particularly when you aren't taking care of yourself. My problem with Thor's appearance is that it was clearly a strategic joke placed by Marvel to provide some comedic relief from an overall seriousness of the film. By the way, Marvel does too darn much comedic relief in my appearance, but for my taste, that doesn't mean they aren't great films. All right, look, was it comedic relief? Sure. But was there actual story? Was there lore for that reason? Yes, that's actually how you do representation. Thor got fat because he was depressed and eating a bunch of food, and people poked fun at him because he's a god. His own mother told him to eat a salad, okay? So, look, I don't think Thor cared that much, and to be honest with you, seeing him like that, it's more real. Could you imagine if the Avengers were like, oh, Thor, can we talk about it? Like Captain America's, I'm not even going to say that. I'm not going to spoil the movie, but if the Avengers would circle around and be like, hey man, maybe we should all just join a gym together and maybe we can work out together. Or hey man, you know what? I love you just the way you are. Now let's go take care of that Thanos guy. I mean, come on. Thor's reaction to his new look is the only one that matters. Jokes are mean-spirited, but he owns the transformation. This is a title change, I believe. At one point, it was called, oh yeah, yes, Fat Thor jokes are problematic, but Fat Thor isn't the problem. Avengers Endgame reviews. Something been missing from the Marvel team-up movies since the Age of Ultron. Silly moments between heroes that aren't clearly entirely driven by the quest for a MacGuffin. Some of these moments, based on dramatic new look for Thor, aren't sitting well with fans. Again, they aren't fans. All right? Just because you see a movie does not make you a fan of that movie. It just means you paid to see it. Fans of comic book culture, fans of Marvel, the whole theater, by the way, was bursting out laughing every time. You know, when Thor turned profiling, had a big beer belly, it was hilarious and everybody laughed. All right. So I don't know what theater you were at, but that's not what happened in mine. Now, of course, when Thor finally shows up, it's clear he stopped taking care of himself. His beard and hair are long and scraggly. He's wearing a bathrobe. He's gained a considerable beer belly. He's visibly buzzed and spends his time playing Fortnite with his fellow gladiators from Thor Ragnarok. Korg, played by Ragnarok director Taika Waititi, and Meek. Hulk lures the warrior back into action. And anyway, Endgame's portrayal of Thor's new look provoked strong reactions from viewers. Some accusing the film of fat shaming and playing by a fat body and symptoms of depression or PTSD for laughs, but simply including a fat character isn't inherently problematic. I'll admit I laughed when I saw the new Lebowski as Thor was revealed. Hemsworth had physical comedy chops, and it's funny. Many of the jokes at Thor's expense are mean-spirited, though, and should be criticized. But crucially, they don't bother him. He's the freaking god of thunder. Why does he care about what a raccoon thinks about his body? Exactly. Isn't that the message? I mean, isn't that the actual message here? That he doesn't care. Thor sees Frigga again in Endgame during his jump back in time. I'm not going to read that. That's a spoiler. A few of the fat jokes in Endgame were cruel and unnecessary, but we didn't need a cheese. Maybe we didn't need a cheese whiz dig. But ultimately, Thor's arc takes him from sad, broken man to someone who knows fully and accepts himself without treating his weight gain as a problem to be rectified. Well, I mean, my guess is he probably will rectify that. I doubt Thor will continue to be out of shape. It's just that he didn't exactly have time to hit Gold's Gym in between having to, defeat Thanos. I'm pretty sure that we'll see him fit again. I'm pretty sure that that is not the future look for Thor. But again, this is just, I mean, not everything about every movie has to, make a point. Sometimes things can just be. But in this case, hey, Lebowski Thor was hilarious to me. Everyone else in the theater, nobody thought it was mean-spirited. If you were watching the tone of the movie, this is a brotherhood, a sisterhood, a family, and some good-hearted ribbing. Now, if Thor had been overweight the entire time, they wouldn't be calling him fat. I mean, that's just not what Marvel does. Okay, so the joke wasn't that he was fat. That's only half of it. And he wasn't even that fat. He just had a big beer belly. The joke is that he's Thor and he's fat. Why is everyone ignoring that? But, of course, how else would they write these articles? And how else would we all laugh and enjoy them? If you did enjoy this video, please remember to drop a thumbs up on it. I hope you did. I look forward to reading your comments in the comment section down below. And we'll talk to you again real soon.